Hey everyone, Adam with Droid Media here, and today we're going to be making one of my all-time favorite and most used pieces of gear, cheap DIY reflectors. Materials you're going to need for this project are a box cutter or a knife, some measuring tape, some gaffers tape, and then one or more 8-foot by 4-foot insulation panels. Now you want to get the one with the reflective silver side, and they've got a duller white side. I like the 1/2-inch thick ones, but you can buy these in 3/4 inch thick or even inch thick pieces. Now I get mine for about $12 at my local Menards, but you can buy them at any big box home improvement store, Lowe's, Home Depot, places like that. And you don't go up very high in price, even if you go up to the inch thick ones. I just like the 1/2 inch. They're a little cheaper and they do everything I need. So first things first, you want to determine how big of a reflector you want. Now, most of us probably have these little 5-in-1 reflectors that come with us on shoots also. They're great. I love them. You love them. But the downside is that they're only ever one size once they're popped out. So this one will only ever be a 3-foot round reflector. And the downside of that is sometimes you need a little bit smaller of a reflector. You might need a larger one. And then they're also pretty flimsy. When you get these outside, they don't reflect in the directions that you want. They curve and things like that. So I have found that having a little bit firmer or more robust reflector really works well, particularly outside when you need to focus some light and you're dealing with the elements like wind, things like that. So a standard industry size for one of these panels would be 4 feet by 4 feet. Now, if you've got a vehicle big enough to accommodate one of those, that's great. All you have to do is measure down halfway through the panel, cut it, tape it up, and you're good to go. For the rest of us though, me included, the biggest one that I can fit isn't that big. So I had to go out and measure my car. I recommend you do the same. And the biggest one I can fit is a 3-foot by 4-foot panel. So when I get one of these sheets from the hardware store, what I'll do is I'll measure it out in the parking lot and actually just cut it out in the parking lot. Now you might get some strange looks, but who cares? The biggest one I can fit is a 3-foot by 4-foot panel. Now, when I get a full 8-foot by 4-foot piece, what I'll do is I'll cut 2 of those out, and then I'll also have a 2-foot by 4-foot panel left over. Now, a lot of times what I'll do is just cut those down immediately to a 2-foot square panel because I like the size of this. It works really well for interior shoots, smaller product shoots, things like that. But again, figure out what you can transport, figure out what you want and what you need, measure, and then kind of cut it from there. So a couple of tips for marking and cutting is that I find it's easier to mark on the white side. You can see it a little easier. And then if you're getting one of the thicker panels, like a 3/4 inch thick or an inch thick one, it's easier to actually cut in a couple shallow strokes rather than trying to hack through it all at once. You're going to get a lot of frayed edges and things like that. So now that we've got all of our pieces cut, we want to tape up the edges. And we do this for a few reasons. One, it provides a grippier surface for us to hold on to when we're holding it. It'll also cover up any unsightly cutting edges or frayed edges, things like that we did while we were cutting. And then it also helps it look a little more professional, honestly. This doesn't look like we just went out and bought a foam insulation panel from the hardware store. It looks a little bit more professional. So, to do this, what you want to do is just grab your gaffer's tape. And my method is, and this is overkill, is that I like to frame up each piece with its own piece on the side. So this is a piece right here. There's another piece on this other side. And then I lay one over both of those to cover up the edges. This is, again, overkill, but it provides the most amount of kind of grip and cushion and longevity for your tape. If you're handling this a lot and you've got just one little piece of tape on there, I found that it just doesn't stick for nearly as long as one of these does. Like I said, these reflectors are one of my all-time favorite pieces of gear. One or more of them goes with me on almost every single shoot. And not only are they nice and durable, but they're also just so cheap. So if you lose one, break one, if you need to cut one down for a specific shot or a specific project, you're only out a couple of bucks. Now, I know that the 5-in-1 reflectors are also inexpensive, but I mean, for the same price, you can get you can make yourself a whole set of solid reflectors. If you've got any comments, questions, or cool uses for reflectors like this, leave them in the comments section below. If you like the video, go ahead and click like. And if you want to stay up to date on fun tutorial videos like this or some of the other projects that we do here, click subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Now, you can find these in 1/2 inch thick, 3/4 inch thick, or inch thick varieties. Now, I've got a couple of these